I thought my girlfriend was cheating. But the truth was even stranger. Hi everyone. I never thought I'd be the one writing on here, but what happened to me a few months ago was so insane that I still don't know whether to laugh or cry about it. So, for context, I'm a 22-year-old guy, and I'd been dating my girlfriend, Emma, 21, for almost a year when this story took place. Things were going really well, at least, I thought they were. She was sweet, funny, and we shared the same love for weird indie movies and midnight snacks at gas stations. Honestly, I thought she might be the one. But then, little things started happening that made me suspicious. It began with her phone. Emma wasn't secretive before, but suddenly, she started flipping her screen down whenever she got a text. She'd excuse herself to the bathroom during dinner and be gone for 10 minutes with her phone in hand. When I'd ask who she was talking to, she'd just shrug and say, "Oh, just my friend. Don't worry about it." Yeah, right. I tried to brush it off. I didn't want to be that jealous boyfriend. But the more I noticed, the harder it got. One evening, I came over to her apartment unannounced. She usually didn't mind surprise visits, but this time, when I knocked, I heard whispering inside, and then silence. When she finally opened the door, she looked flustered. Her cheeks were red, her hair was a little messy, and she immediately said, "Oh, hey. I wasn't expecting you." Behind her, I swore I saw a shadow move across the living room. I asked, "Is someone here?" She froze for half a second, then laughed nervously. "No, of course not." "Why?" I didn't push it right then, but my brain went into overdrive. Was she hiding another guy in her apartment? A week later, I decided I had to know the truth. I know, what I did wasn't the most respectful thing in the world, but I followed her. She told me she was meeting a friend for coffee, but I trailed her from a distance. My heart was pounding the whole time. She walked quickly, checking her phone, and eventually ended up, not at a cafe, but at this old, run-down building on the edge of town. It used to be a bookstore years ago, but it had closed down. I watched her unlock the side door with a key. A key! She disappeared inside. At this point, I was convinced she had some secret boyfriend stashed in there. I thought about barging in, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. Instead, I waited outside, crouched behind a dumpster like some kind of creepy detective. After about 30 minutes, the door opened again. Emma stepped out, carrying a box. It looked heavy, and she was struggling with it. She shoved it into the trunk of her car, and then went back inside for another. My curiosity got the better of me. When she went back inside, I crept up to her car and peeked into the trunk. And that's when my jaw dropped. Inside the box were books. Dozens of old, dusty books, stacked neatly. Some of them looked ancient, with faded covers and weird symbols on them. The next day, I confronted her. I expected a breakup. I expected yelling, crying, maybe even her admitting she was cheating. But what actually happened? Way crazier. I told her, "Look, Emma, I followed you yesterday. I saw you at that old bookstore. What's going on? Just tell me the truth." She went pale. Then, after a long pause, she sighed and said, "Okay, you deserve to know." Apparently, Emma had been sneaking off because she was part of this underground book club. But not just any book club. They specialized in collecting rare, banned, and sometimes even stolen books. She explained that the books in the trunk were from a private collection she and her group had rescued from a mansion that was about to be demolished. I blinked at her. "So you're not cheating?" She laughed, actually laughed, and said, "No, of course not. But I couldn't tell you because, well, it's kind of illegal." We're not supposed to have those books. I didn't know whether to feel relieved or even more freaked out. On one hand, my girlfriend wasn't sneaking around with another guy. On the other hand, she was sneaking around with a group of book smugglers. Since then, I've been to one of their secret meetings. It was wild. Dozens of people sitting in a candlelit basement, reading passages from books that aren't even supposed to exist anymore. Some of them were in languages I couldn't recognize. Part of me thinks Emma's insane for being involved in something so risky. But another part of me admires her passion. She's definitely not the kind of person who lives a boring life. So yeah, I thought my girlfriend was cheating. Turns out, she's just a criminal librarian. And weirdly enough, I think I love her even more now. The vacation that nearly ended our relationship, but somehow saved it. So my girlfriend Lily, 22F, and I, 23M, had been dating for about a year when we decided to take our first big trip together. You know how everyone says traveling with your partner is the ultimate test? Well, they weren't kidding. We picked Italy. Why? Because Lily had been obsessed with pasta since forever, and I'd always dreamed of seeing Rome. It sounded perfect. Romantic dinners, cobblestone streets, sightseeing hand in hand. Yeah, about that. From the moment we landed, things started going sideways. Day 1, the airport disaster. We were already jet-lagged when Lily realized she'd packed 3 pairs of shoes, and all of them had heels. Not a single pair of sneakers. "I'll be fine," she insisted. "I can walk in heels. I've done it before." By the time we'd walked 2 blocks from our hotel, she was limping like she'd just run a marathon barefoot. Naturally, this turned into my fault. "Why didn't you remind me to pack sneakers?" she snapped. I tried not to laugh because, well, I didn't think it was my job to be her footwear manager. But the glare she gave me said otherwise. Day 2, the Lost Tour. We signed up for a guided tour of the Colosseum. Sounds simple, right? Meet at 10 a.m. by the fountain, follow the group. Except Lily insisted on stopping for coffee on the way, and by the time we got there, the group was gone. "It's fine," she said. "We can just explore on our own." Exploring on our own turned into us sneaking into the wrong line, and somehow ending up in an underground tunnel with a guard yelling at us in Italian. I swear, the man was threatening to throw us out, but Lily just kept nodding and smiling like she understood every word. When we finally made it out, she said, "See? That was way more authentic than a boring tour." I had to admit, she wasn't totally wrong. Day 3, the scooter incident. This is the day I almost broke up with her. Lily had this brilliant idea. "Let's rent a Vespa. It'll be so romantic." Now, for the record, I don't know how to ride a scooter. At all. But she insisted, convinced she could drive. 5 minutes later, we were weaving through Roman traffic, Lily screaming, me holding onto her waist for dear life. We nearly clipped a taxi, and an old Italian lady shook her fist at us while yelling something that I'm pretty sure was a curse. We finally stopped at a red light, my heart pounding out of my chest. I told her, "That's it, I'm not doing this anymore. We're going back." She looked at me with that mischievous grin and said, "But didn't you feel alive?" I wanted to kill her and kiss her at the same time. Day 4, the argument. It all boiled over when we got lost trying to find a restaurant. Lily swore she remembered the way, while I insisted we should just use Google Maps. 2 hours later, we were still wandering down random alleys, sweaty, hungry, and very, very cranky. "You never trust me," she yelled. "Because you're always wrong about directions." I snapped back. We didn't talk for the rest of the walk. When we finally found the restaurant, thanks to Google Maps, might I add, we sat down in silence. I was ready to pack up and fly home the next day. The turning point. And then, something shifted. The waiter came over, clearly sensing the tension, and without asking he brought us a giant bowl of spaghetti to share. Like the literal Lady and the Tramp situation. Lily and I just looked at each other, then at the spaghetti, and then we burst out laughing. Like uncontrollable laughter. People were staring, but we didn't care. It was like the fight melted away in that moment. We slurped noodles, made terrible pasta puns, and by the end of the meal, we were back to holding hands. Day 5, the perfect ending. On our last day, we decided to stop planning. No tours, no schedules, no scooters. We just wandered the city, ate gelato, took silly pictures, and watched the sunset by the river. It wasn't perfect. My feet hurt, Lily's heels were destroyed, and we had exactly zero idea where we were half the time. But it was real. On the flight home, Lily leaned her head on my shoulder and said, "If we survived Italy, we can survive anything." And you know what? She was right. That chaotic, messy disaster of a vacation turned out to be the best thing we ever did for our relationship. Because sometimes, it's not the perfect Instagram moments that matter, it's the disasters you survive together. The wrong text that led to the right person. I've never been good at dating. I'm the type of guy who overthinks everything. What to wear, what to say, how often to text back. So, when I finally mustered the courage to ask out a girl from my class last year, I thought things were finally turning around. Her name was Mia. Gorgeous, smart, way out of my league. Somehow, she agreed to give me her number after class one day. I was so nervous that I typed it into my phone 3 times just to make sure I didn't mess it up. Spoiler, I messed it up. The first text. That night, I sat on my bed, staring at her number like it was a bomb waiting to go off. Finally, I typed, "Hey, it's me from class. Want to grab coffee sometime?" A minute later, the reply came. "Sure, but who's this?" "Okay, weird. Did she really forget me already?" I reminded her. "It's Jake from sociology. We talked after class today." After a pause, she replied, "Pretty sure I didn't talk to a Jake today. But hey, you sound nice." At this point, I double-checked the number. And that's when I realized I had texted the wrong person. The stranger. Instead of Mia, I had texted some random girl named Hannah. I panicked and started typing out this long apology, but before I could send it, she texted again. "So are you asking me out or what?" I literally froze. My brain short-circuited. Was this flirting? I decided to roll with it. "Well, I was asking someone else, but maybe this is fate?" She sent back a laughing emoji and said, "Okay, Jake from sociology. Coffee tomorrow. Don't stand me up." The coffee date. The next day, I walked into the cafe half expecting no one to show. But then Hannah walked in. She wasn't at all what I expected. She wore ripped jeans, a messy bun, and had this confident energy that immediately made me nervous. She sat down, grinned, and said, "So, tell me about this sociology class you don't actually share with me." I ended up telling her the whole story about Mia, the number mix-up, everything. I thought she'd think I was a loser, but instead she laughed so hard that people were staring. "Wow," she said, wiping her eyes. "That's either the worst pickup line ever or the best." We ended up talking for 3 hours. The complication. Here's where it gets messy. The next week, the real Mia actually texted me. Turns out I had her number right after all. I just saved it wrong. She asked if I still wanted to hang out. Now I had a problem. Do I go for the girl I originally liked, or this stranger who basically fell into my life by accident? I asked my roommate for advice, and he, being the chaos agent he is, said, "Go out with both. See what happens." So, I did. Date number 1, Mia. Mia was fine. Pretty, polite, but the conversation felt like a job interview. I kept waiting for sparks, but there weren't any. When the check came, she made a joke about how guys should always pay, which felt kind of awkward. Still, I figured maybe she was just nervous. Date number 2, Hannah. With Hannah, it was the opposite. From the moment we sat down, it was non-stop banter. She teased me about how I held my fork like a caveman. I roasted her for mispronouncing gnocchi. People probably thought we'd been dating for years already. At one point, I choked on my water because she made me laugh so hard, and she actually patted me on the back while saying, "Don't die yet, I still need you to buy dessert." It was easy. The slip-up. Of course, I eventually got caught. One night, I accidentally texted Mia something meant for Hannah. "Can't stop thinking about how you almost made me spit water out of my nose face with tears of joy." Mia replied, "We never had water." Busted. The next day, she confronted me. "Are you seeing someone else?" I admitted the truth. She wasn't thrilled, but she also didn't seem heartbroken. Honestly, I think she was more offended about losing than actually liking me. We went our separate ways. The twist. When I told Hannah what happened, I expected her to freak out too. Instead, she smirked and said, "So basically, I won." I blinked. "That's one way to look at it." She leaned across the table and said, "Good. Because I like winning." Then she kissed me. The aftermath. It's been a year since that accidental text, and Hannah and I are still together. Sometimes, she jokes about it. "Imagine if you'd typed the number right. You'd probably be stuck in some boring relationship with Mia right now." And honestly, she's probably right. So yeah, I asked out the wrong girl, and ended up with the right one.